Good evening. This is Thursday, October 9th, 26 days until the 2008 presidential election. Since Senator McCain has become fond of posing everything he says in the form of a question, with the Dow already down 17% for the week so far, do you think, Senator McCain, that Americans give a crap about rehabilitated 60s radical William Ayers? With the Dow on track for its biggest weekly percentage drop ever, do you believe, Senator McCain, that voters would be in favor of your self-named American home ownership resurgence plan if they realized that it would resurge only the balance sheets of financial institutions, passing all their losses to American taxpayers? Our fifth story in the countdown, Senator McCain cooking the books of his own homeowner bailout plan. At Tuesday's debate, the Republican nominee proposing his surprise idea to have the government buy up bad home mortgages, thus letting struggling homeowners keep their homes. His campaign positing the plan online. The key sentence at the end of the second paragraph was, quote, lenders in these cases must recognize the loss that they've already suffered. In other words, the government would buy the mortgages at their current devalued rate, reflecting what the mortgages are actually worth on paper. Overnight, however, Mike Allen of Politico.com, the first to notice that the crucial sentence had been scrubbed from the website. Sayonara, see ya. That means that under the revised McCain plan, American taxpayers would have to pay face value for the troubled mortgages, even though they are no longer worth anywhere near that. That would be a windfall for the banking industry, despite their predatory lending practices, which helped bring about the crisis in the first place. The McCain campaign claiming it always meant for the plan to be this way, that the sentence about lenders recognizing the losses they have suffered was included by mistake, as if it were some sort of typographical error and not a fundamental shift in the intent and substance of the policy. Senator Obama pointing out today that's not change that you can believe in.
Senator McCain actually wants the government to pay the full face value of mortgages on the books, even though they're not worth that much anymore. So banks wouldn't take a loss, but taxpayers would take a loss. It's a plan that would guarantee that you, the American taxpayers, would lose by handing over $300 billion to underwrite the kind of greed and irresponsibility on Wall Street that got us into this mess. It's not just that Senator McCain's bailout rewards irresponsible lenders. It's that his bailout would make it more likely that those lenders keep up their bad behavior.
In March, Senator McCain having said that Americans needed to do what was necessary, work second jobs, skip vacations, manage their budgets in order to pay their mortgages. On September 15th, having declared that the fundamentals of the economy were strong. On September 24th, having pretended to suspend his campaign to return to Washington to deal with the crisis. And overnight, having revised his plan to bail out mortgage lenders, passing all of their losses on to American taxpayers. Senator Obama today questioning whether that is leadership you can believe in.
Now, this is just the latest in a series of shifting positions that Senator McCain has taken on this issue and just about every issue. His first response to the housing crisis in March was that homeowners shouldn't get any help at all. Then a few weeks ago, he put out a plan that basically ignored homeowners. Now, in the course of 12 hours, he's ended up with a plan that punishes taxpayers, rewards banks, and won't solve our housing crisis. But this is the kind of erratic behavior we've been seeing out of Senator McCain. I don't think we can afford that kind of erratic and uncertain leadership in these uncertain times.
And Senator McCain today lying about his plan and lying about Obama.
Let's go out and buy people that cannot stay in their homes, buy their mortgages, give them mortgages that they can afford and stay in their homes and make the payments. Now, my friends, that's what we need to do in America. We must stabilize housing values in America. They've got to stop plummeting, and until they do, we're not going to see this economy turn around. So, Senator Obama was happy to bail out Bear Stearns, AIG, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, his pals there, and the Democrats in Congress that refused to reform Freddie Mac and enact legislation to stop this crisis. But he's opposed to us helping the homeowners of America. Do you want to help the homeowners of America, or do you want to help Wall Street? That's the question here. And I want to help the homeowners of Wisconsin and all over this country.
Time now to call on our own Richard Wolff, also, of course, senior White House correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Can you answer, based on the facts, Senator McCain's rhetorical question about himself? Does he want to help the homeowners of America or Wall Street in this case?
Well, I think he wants to help his own campaign here. I mean, there's so much here that is difficult to sort of comprehend about how this plan emerged, how it was shaped, how it's been amended, and most especially how it fits in with McCain's own signature brand on financial issues, which is to crack down on wasteful government spending. I mean, by anyone's measure, this is excessively generous when it comes to valuing these assets that have clearly declined. So for a guy who has actually campaigned very effectively about earmarks and spending, why do this?
Yeah, and would this plan not seem to have the potential to alienate both fiscal conservatives, that rock-ribbed group of his, and independent swing voters? You're helping the banks one way or the other more than you're helping the people in the homes.
Well, I think with independent swing voters, a lot depends on how it's litigated. This does remind me of the gas tax holiday debate that propped up in the primaries. Actually, McCain and Hillary Clinton both supported that. If the Obama people are successful, they can present it as another gimmick. Obviously, that's what they're trying to do here. But it could be seen as being very populist, too. Now, it's hard to reconcile it with the fiscal conservatives. All sorts of conservative think tanky people and opinion makers have condemned this plan. And again, for a free market-loving admirer of Ronald Reagan, it's very hard to see how this fits in. This is a big government plan. If it was proposed in this form by Barack Obama, you can be sure Sarah Palin would have a lot to say about it.
Is speaking of other people involved in this campaign, is Senator Obama right on this, that this seems another example of how erratic the McCain campaign has been, or certainly going from, you used the word gimmick before, we'll call them plans or ideas or just gimmicks, going from one to another in the hopes that something will stick, will catch fire?
Well, here's the thing. This is obviously a big shift for the McCain campaign. And if you're going to roll out a big shift at this point of a campaign, then you really want to do it in a considered presidential-style way. You have your candidates sit down with economic advisors. You may roll it out and explain it through town hall meetings where people are focused on the economy. But to roll it out in a debate and then have your regular sort of rally town hall environment to explain it, to have the situation they have where they're amending plans on the website, it does, if not erratic, it sounds just very rushed. And the question is, do you want a rushed position when things are moving so quickly in the real world of the financial markets?
And can you flesh out on an entirely different buy program here, buying program time, these stories that have been racing through the television industry that Senator Obama is buying everything he can find for 30 minutes on the Wednesday night before the election?
Yeah, I talked to some campaign officials just recently, and they said that CBS, they have bought some time on. NBC, they're talking to. And this is a substantial outlay of money. It does show what you can do when you give up on public financing, raise a lot of money. And in many ways, this is harking back to the kind of campaigning we saw back in the 70s. I mean, Ross Perot may have done it, but this was regular fare in the 70s when TV time was much cheaper. It's a bold move. It's obviously designed to make that connection between Obama and voters, but we don't know the content yet of what that 30 minutes will look like.
Yeah, well, we're hearing CBS, NBC, also ABC and Fox if there's no World Series game. The problem for that logistically would be they'd be up against the World Series pregame show, but not the World Series itself if there is a game. But also cable buys at 8 o'clock. I don't know what that's all about. Richard Wolff of MSNBC and Newsweek. We may be preempted that night. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Keith.